This is my Featherlight 3-horse trailer. The rear tack room is a complete mess and is in desperate need of a makeover. So I'm going to start by removing everything out of this rear tack. All the saddles, bridles, equipment that I have stored back there, it's all gotta go. I do this so I can deep clean the area, but also so I can make a few adjustments for my storage needs. Once everything is out, I'm able to see just how much room I have to work with and prioritize what I want to store back here and what I should find another place for. Next up, I decided this back door needed a little bit of life added to it, so I chose this beautiful wallpaper to bring in a little bit of personality. The next day, I brought one of my very best helpers with me, and we decided to tackle the chore of organizing all of the equipment to see how much we wanted to put back into this tiny rear tack room. But first, we had a little something to install. Okay, so we have this rubber stuff. You'll see underneath the tack wall, there's a little bit of a gap, and shavings always get through that and into my tack room. So to try to keep it a little bit cleaner, I'm going to try to put this rubber tube thing on the bottom side of that wall so that we can keep the shavings out. Let's see how it goes. So for the finished product, it kind of seals up the bottom of the tack wall so that shavings can't get through. After that was installed, I oiled the saddle rack where it pivots because it was getting a little bit sticky. Now that saddle rack's moving freely, I move on to picking out the saddles and equipment I think is most important for my everyday use. I start off with my old trusty barrel saddle that I've owned since I was probably 14 years old. Moving on, I chose my ranch saddle next. It's super heavy, so of course it gets the bottom rack. While putting it away, I noticed my latigo was untied, so I went ahead and tidied that up real quick and then grabbed my impact gel saddle pad. Next up is my little cowgirl saddle. Peep the little rainbow off billet, still love that. I chose the very top rack for this saddle for obvious weight reasons. It fit perfectly, and I move on to getting that last saddle pad up there. Next up, I chose to add a little something extra to this back door. I needed a place that was easier to reach for all of my bridles and halters, and this little towel rack that I found at Burlington fit perfectly. So I pilot drill some holes and get that thing secured. Next, I moved on to organizing all of my bridles on the rack that I just installed, and I began by just hanging them all up to see what I had and what I used most often. Luckily, all my favorite bridles fit on this rack, and I can move on to the next thing. But then I stepped back and realized that I could organize these in the order that I would use them on a training course. So starting with my Boselle that I would usually start colts in, and working my way all the way up to my finished horse bit. Now that that's done, I can move on to the miscellaneous tack like my lunge line and my extra rope halters. I hang these on the rack that is up high that I don't have to get to all the time, but it's handy if I need them still. I had a few extra head stalls and bits that I put up there as well, just in case I need one in the future. Then I started a pile to sort through later of stuff that I don't use anymore and might want to sell, stuff that needs to be thrown away, or just extra equipment that doesn't really have a place in this small rear tack. I grabbed 3 storage bins that are also full of equipment, and I started unloading those to figure out what needs to go where. As you can see, we have everything from horse treats to helmets, so it's time to dump it all out, make a big pile, and try to bring some order to this chaos. As you can see, I've found lots of other goodies. Also, my first aid kit, I'll be doing a restock on that soon. I found jingle bells from Christmas parades, my horse clippers, hay nets, pitchforks, and I tried to find a place for everything that was back here, so nothing was just thrown in anymore. Looking at this pile is daunting, but in a jiff, we have the whole thing organized. First crate, I put my first aid kit and grooming box to carry in the rear tack. Then I have my 2 miscellaneous buckets and my bath bucket. Moving on, I really like to vet wrap the bottom of my stirrups to keep my feet from slipping out, and I noticed my vet wrap was getting worn out, so I decided to freshen that up, and bam, so much better. Next up, I take a look at my tack room now that I have all my main stuff in, and it looks so much better already. I tested the pin out to make sure it slides in after being oiled, and it works like a charm. This is the finished product. I know where all of my equipment is. It's all squeaky clean. I have space under here for extra storage, which I'm going to put this crate right here in, for easy access to my first aid kit, fly spray, treat box, wipes, grooming kit, and splint boots. It should fit pretty nicely. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this rear tack room transformation. See you next time!
It's always been